All right, everyone. Welcome to the healing trauma reading. This is for anyone who's been stuck in a pattern and hasn't been able to figure out how this trauma affects their life or what kind of emotions they carry with this trauma, how it affects their relationships with others, how it affects the way they view themselves, um, what they need to draw on in order to release said trauma, and what lessons they can learn from the experience, and how they can begin to move on and a way their life will change once they release that said trauma. There are 3 piles here, so you can choose strength, truth, and joy. The stones here are amethyst. This is the snake. This one is rose quartz. And this one is Amazonite. Amazonite. Probably mispronounced that. All right, I'll give you a few seconds to look at each one and see if you can call upon your own intuition to see which one you've connected with. See which one calls out towards you. Maybe it's the color. Maybe it'll be like the number below once I get the timestamps for each one. Yeah, so I'll let you do it. And then I'll start with number 1. Okay, I'll start now. Oh, and each one has like a pile message as well that's already been shuffled and assigned to it. I haven't even read it yet. But we'll start with strength. So amethyst, I actually got this in Japan. So if you're thinking about traveling, moving abroad, this could be your pile as well. Amethyst is usually a stone for dreams and people who are really in tune with their spirituality. So that might ring a bell for you. All right, let's see your tarot cards. There should be about 8 cards for each one, for each thing that we'll be looking at. All right, so how is this trauma affecting pile 1's life? Okay, the one that came out was, I might have to move the cards around just to make sure they're all on camera. Oh. Okay, let's start with the first 4, and then I'll read your strength card there. Okay. That's just gonna annoy me. I'm gonna just put that there. Okay, so I'll read your oracle card. Strength appears as a firm reminder that you have a deep well of fortitude within. There is a power in knowing who you are and what you do well. Dig deep and find a solid base from where to anchor yourself, and muster the might, endurance, and confidence to do what must be done. If you can't find it within, seek a friend or fellow tribe member to help you. Sometimes we need to lean on others, but in vulnerability, we can find seeds of strength we never knew we had. So ask yourself, in what ways am I strong? And how can I tap into? Hey, so sorry about that. The mic died and it's currently being charged, so I'm using a different mic, so the quality is probably going to be a bit different. But I'll go back to reading your card. Because I wanted to include not just the message of strength, but also the flower. Sorry, the flower called fennel. Native to the shores and banks of the Mediterranean, the fennel is a flavorsome herb with many uses. So the entire plant can be used in cooking, but it also has magical and medicine uses. So in England, the farmers would rub a concoction of fennel, salt, and soap on the blades of their plows to make the earth stronger and encourage a better crop. The Romans chewed it for strength and courage in battle. For medicine purposes, it was traditionally used as a digestive aid and to ease colic in babies. So, what I'm getting is that you have been a very strong individual, perhaps too strong. Maybe people come to you for advice because they see that you are someone that they can rely on and that you have things handled, but on the inside, maybe you feel like you're dying on the inside. When people don't process their grief, I know it can, what's the word? It causes like physical ailments. So, with this being used for digestive aids, you may be someone who suffers a lot of digestive issues because it's completely internal. For the Five of Cups here, this is how trauma has affected your life. So you haven't really allowed yourself to process past hurts. You're focusing a lot on the cups here that have been spilled, and so these could be like missed opportunities, nostalgic for a time that was easier, but you've become kind of perhaps even hyper independent because you can only rely on yourself, or feel that way. You may be unable to see that there's still good things left, even if there's, something right in front of you, like this goldfish here. It may be that you need to shift your perspective because there are people around you that love you, but you may not let them in. So this is kind of like a reminder that healing is possible and there's a potential for renewal even after despair. But there's probably buried grief here, perhaps a lot of guilt, maybe even certain grudges for having to be strong when you never wanted to be. For example, if you were a person who was parentified and didn't have those parents to rely on and therefore had to be strong for them because you didn't have people to be strong for you, you may carry that kind of resentment. Here, I see that this is how your emotions have been carried, or emotions that you carry with you, rather. So you still want justice for what happened. You want a fairness and to be treated as an equal, but at the same time, you kind of want that time back that you had to be strong and just lean into your softness more. You may want to be treated fairly, and No fault in that. But there is a certain type of coldness to justice because you're probably leaning more into the logic of things. So you probably had to detach yourself from things that have happened in the past, and you may intellectualize your emotions a lot instead of actually sitting in it and grieving and letting it go. Oh, I just noticed 5 of Cups, 5 of Swords, 5 of Wands. There's a lot of 5s here, so that's a lot of struggle, a lot of strife. 5s can be an indicator of a lot of, what is the English word? Let me actually think. What is the actual English word for this I'm trying to think of? It'll come to me. But for this next one, the 5 of Swords, how it affects my relationships with others, this is a lot of self-sabotage. You may look for arguments when there aren't any. And you may cause arguments with other people. You may be looking for problems when none exist. You may be looking for fights as a way to channel that aggression, because it hasn't really been dealt with. So yeah, there's been an imbalance. A lot of people have been taking from you but not really pouring an effort into or energy into. It's not exactly been a peaceful time. It's just constant being forced to struggle with how people approach you and how they treat you. So this is causing a lot of arguments, a lot of mental health issues as well, if it's tied in with your digestive issues. I know that anxiety and stress can really make an impact on the digestive tract, so a lot of tummy problems. With the 5 of Wands reversed here, that is how it affects the way you view yourself. And the 5 of Wands reversed is looking for less competition. It's wanting more peace, because with it upright, that represents like a lot of strife and competition with other people. But with it reversed, you're looking for a release of tension, and you may actually avoid unnecessary arguments. Although, if this is with others and this is with yourself, you may be ignoring how you actually contribute to arguments, choosing peace over strife, and yet not. They're kind of in conflict with one another. You have, in one sense, how you relate to other people, and this is how you relate to yourself. So you may want peace over struggle, but at the same time, you may look for issues within other people that may not even exist. So in relation to strength is that, maybe you feel like you have to prove that you're strong at the same time. Not to everyone. Like, some people, again, may come to you because they see you as a strong individual. But to others, like perhaps your parents, who keep viewing you as a child even though you've had to basically raise them, you keep looking for that argument to have and say, hey, acknowledge the pain that you caused to me because it just hasn't been dealt with. So let's see what needs to be drawn on to release the trauma. That's way too many cards. The Nine of Wands here. Let's see if I can put this in places where it can be seen. What lesson is to be learned from this? Ooh. The Knight of Wands. I'll just put that there so it can be seen. How can you begin to move on then? Let's see how that will come out. That's a Lover's card here. How can you begin to move on? Oh, it's not really seen. The Six of Swords. That's cover the other card, but for some reason I don't really have enough space. No way your life will change once you release the trauma. Sorry, too many cards fell, so I'm trying to make sure only one comes out. Okay, that one. I'm going to move this over here so you can just be seen. Okay. So, what you need to work on to draw on to release trauma. So this is perseverance for the Nine of Wands here. This is perhaps not being as guarded, because I know Nine of Wands, this is someone who is tired, tired of persevering, tired of always trying, tired of being the only adult in any of the friendships or relationships that you're in. But it's asking you to draw on this kind of energy. So use your strength, use your courage to heal that trauma that you haven't actually confronted. Actually talk it out if need be. What its lesson that you need to learn from is the Knight of Wands. So this is someone that may be running away, because I know upright is someone who's taking on many adventures, but what it might be asking you is don't run away from your pain, don't run away from the necessary conversations that need to happen. It could be to not turn away from the people that matter to you. If anything, go up to your friends and family members or whoever has harmed you and say, hey, look, I'm not always as strong as you think I am. There are moments where I haven't really expressed my anger or the hurt that you've caused me, and I want you to acknowledge this. How can you begin to move on? The Lovers up here, but it's reversed. So really take a look at what your values and ethical standards that have taught you from this lesson. Like perhaps if you were someone that had to be strong, maybe it taught you to become independent. Maybe it taught you to show compassion to others who may not be as strong as you. It depends on what kind of values you may have. Maybe it taught you to be honest. Maybe it taught you that you need to communicate more. The lessons here is making decisions for yourself, choices for yourself that are more in tune with who you are rather than hiding away from things that hurt you. And how can you begin to move on? That was this card here, the Six of Swords. So this is a card of recovery. You are moving on to, sorry, it was this way. With the Six of Swords, you are moving on to better, calmer waters. So how you can begin is take these next, I want to say 6 weeks, because Swords is pretty fast energy, to really look at the pain that you have not confronted yet, pain that you have perhaps not told family members that, look, I'm tired of being strong, I'm tired of being the independent one, I'm tired of being the only adult here when I've got my own issues and I can't give any more than I already have because I'm working with an empty cup, you know? So really focus on your own healing journey. Don't mind the crowd that may be around you. Even though I work with crows and they're not meant to be like negative things, it's just, I know a flock of them can be, what's the term? It's like a flock of murder here. So I don't really feel like in this card they have the best interest at heart. So moving away from the crowd that drains you because you've always had to be the strong one. You've always had to be the one that carries the burdens of everyone else, but you don't focus on taking care of you. To really focus on your own healing journey. Tell them that you're tired. And what will happen is the way that your life will change if you release the trauma, you release having to be strong all the time, this is really fast movement. It's very fast communication. And with the Eight of Wands here, that's a journey. And you've got 2 journey cards here. So you may be traveling around, quite literally, you may be moving around, or especially since if you chose the amethyst card and or card, it's the stone here, because snakes, with the amethyst stone here, that's spirituality. So you are transforming, you're shedding away your old self to become your new self. Not so much your stronger self per se, because you've already been strong, but more who you are, what really matters to you in terms of treating yourself and taking care of yourself, and especially if you've got those health issues coming through, especially since snakes can be associated with medicine. Who knows, maybe you're working on becoming a doctor or a nurse. So yeah, your life is going to transform pretty quickly with these two cards here. The journey cards are pretty fast. So I'm just going to pull out these cards to see if anything else would come up as advice or things to let go. I'll pull out two of these. Okay, so discover. Ooh. You take charge. All right, so what do they what do they actually say here? Discover, spot new opportunities. So perhaps, can you actually see that? I can't tell with the lighting here. So perhaps after you've voiced your pain, essentially, you will have new opportunities coming towards you. Taking charge, like, don't wait for the stars to align, reach up and arrange them the way you want. Taking charge of your life more instead of being at the behest of others, in terms of, you know, people coming up to you and draining you of your own energy because they think you'll solve all their problems. You can take charge and see how you really want your life to go forward, instead of letting your trauma guide you, trauma that hadn't been resolved yet. So your message card here is passion. It says, I want you to seduce me. Your smile, touch, love, and the way you think is intoxicating. You are so beautiful. Maybe it's telling you to fall in love with yourself again. What makes you smile? What makes you feel like life is intoxicating, and that will make you fall in love with life again? What is your passion? Maybe that's your new opportunities as well that's coming in. It could be love. I mean, you've got love, touch, if your love language is touch here. Maybe it's time to seduce yourself, you know? What makes you fall in love with yourself again? And yeah, let me know in the comments how this makes you feel. If you've always been the strong one and it's been, you know, some sort of pain that you haven't really opened up to, because you've always felt like you had to be the one everyone comes to, and you had to detach yourself from everything, even though you wanted justice. So don't run away from it. Really, you know, persevere and say what you want, and find what's really aligned with you and what your core values are now to move ahead. So I hope this helps. And let me, again, like, drop a snake in the comments, I guess, if this resonated with you. And thank you very much for being here. As I struggle with English. But, you know, it happens. But, all right, thank you very much. And I'll move on to, like, pile 2. I like the in-between moments, and sometimes messages come through. I think I saw another tarot reader do the same thing, and that was really interesting that all the 5s come through. I don't remember the number for justice is 11. What is? Oh no, it's 6. Never mind. I thought it was just a 5. It's not. But yeah, I hope you're willing to brave your next step. Okay, I'm going to bring up pile number 2. And ooh, here we are. Okay. Hello, pile 2. Welcome to your pile. You may have been attracted to the word truth, or like the morning cloak or the bittersweet nightshade. The morning cloak being the type of butterfly that dragon is, or maybe it's the rose quartz. This I will read at the end. I haven't seen it, so I don't even know what it is yet. But I will bring out your tarot cards to see what messages come through. Just give me a sec. So I'm going to put the old ones from pile 1 back into the pile in case they need to be used again. And then shuffle. Let's see, there we go. Alright, I'm going to shuffle all that. Alright, how is this trauma affecting pile 2's life? Ooh. 1. Oh gosh, a lot of 7s are coming up already. 7s. Oh, this is all reversed so far. Okay, so we'll look at the first 4 and then see what the other 4 will be. So I'm going to read, make sure all these things can be seen. I'm going to read your oracle first. Alright, the quest for truth is a journey we must all take, and it can be painful. Once discovered, truth can be a compass that guides you through tough decisions and experiences. In your soul, you know truth to be the absolute and personal pillar through which you may effectively govern your life. Identifying these principles means you have a yardstick for when you are faced with difficult decisions or ideas. You can then make decisions accordingly. Your truths will be re-evaluated and tested throughout your life. The truths you had when you were younger might not be the ones you hold today. But once you find your truth, it can be easier to be faithful to yourself. So what are my main truths today? And this can be kind of tied up to the Justice card as well. So that is the meaning of truth, but I want to look into the nightshade meaning and the butterfly, if you'll give me it. So at the beginning here, native to North Africa and Eurasia, the bittersweet nightshade is a adaptable species that has spread across the world so successfully that it's considered an invasive plant in the United States. It gets its name from its leaves, which taste bitter and then sweet. So that's kind of tied in with the truth. It could be bittersweet. But checking it is not recommended as they are toxic. So the medicine uses for bittersweet nightshades were recorded by the Greeks over 2,000 years ago, and it's remedy for dizziness, sudden illnesses, and troublesome guests. Oh, it's a remedy for, not causing. The stem of the plant is still used to treat skin conditions. However, the flowers and berries are quite poisonous, and caution should be taken when tending these plants in a garden. As for its ties to truth, both can be quite bittersweet. Oh, I made that connection too. Okay. But it doesn't really say anything about the butterfly. Shame. Okay. Well, that tells me that for you, trauma may be associated with speaking your truth. Maybe you weren't really encouraged to speak about what happened. It could also be people have consistently lied to you. It could be that, instead of telling you how it is, they may have tried manipulating you or gaslighting you into thinking something else when you already knew the truth. And it could also be about, what's the word? Not being able to be true to yourself, or that's what it is. Brutal honesty. Like maybe somebody saw it fit to be brutally honest with you, but was more interested in being brutal than the honesty part. So that might have been the bittersweetness, as in they would probably really hurt you with the truth, when they could have been a bit more tactful, a bit more sensitive to your feelings. With the Seven of Cups here, this is how trauma has impacted your life. And that could be that you may have been overwhelmed by reality, or having to make tough choices. It could be that because of the gaslighting, you may have been lost in illusions, or you may have lost a realistic perspective because you kept guessing about what was happening and how it was occurring and whether or not it was real or not. You may have been unable to commit to a specific goal in mind because you weren't sure if you could do it. You didn't really believe in your own truth. It could be that you were too busy trying to focus on what was real and what was practical rather than what your dreams were. So it could have infected. That's interesting that infected came out. It could have infected your dreams. It could have infected your aspirations and your future goals because you didn't believe in your own truth anymore. I think it's interesting that it also brought up dizziness and, what was the other one? Dizziness and skin conditions, I think it was. Sudden illness and treat skin conditions. So I think it's fascinating because with, for example, if you were dealing with someone who was narcissistic, I'm not saying that they were, but if you were, it could have brought on sudden sickness that you didn't really have all your life, and all of a sudden doctors are unable to figure out what's going on. They're doing a lot of tests on you, but nothing's showing up. There's no diagnosis. Troublesome guess makes me think that you may have had a relationship or a parent or a sibling that was troublesome. I feel like is putting it lightly, but it could have really impacted your reality and whether or not you believe in things anymore, whether or not you have faith in people anymore. So I'm going to look at what Seven of Pentacles is saying here, because these are the emotions that you carry with this trauma, and it's reversed as well. So that could be a serious lack of progress because you've been thinking and overthinking and guessing what is real and what's not. So you may have been more focused on negative outcomes rather than what is actually going to bring you success. Like, instead of thinking, oh, if I try out this venture, I might become really popular or really successful. Like, my book would publish and I'll have a lot of readers, I'll have a lot of audience members. Sorry, English. But instead he thought, well, no one really wants to read or know my point of view. Or maybe you wanted to be a singer, but oh, my voice doesn't sound right. It's not going to be something that people would want to listen to on the radio. Like, you just focus so much on the negative rather than your dreams. You may have thought that they were too foolish to really pursue. You may have been incredibly impatient when you were trying out new things, and if it didn't happen the right way the first time, you may have just given up. So you didn't really put in too much effort, especially if it didn't come out perfect the first time. Sorry, this airplane going overboard or overhead. Yeah, and you didn't want to waste time on something that wasn't a sure thing, but at the same time, you always wondered what was the sure thing. So how it affects the relationships around you is it's not really stable with the Four of Wands here reversed. You may have thought people didn't really want to be around you, or people didn't really care about being around you, particularly if it was home and family, because usually upright, this is all about milestones celebrated with relatives and sometimes marriages. So, and like feeling of belonging, you know, you didn't really feel like you belonged with your family. You didn't feel like you belonged with your friends or in school. There was probably like a breakdown in communications or support from others. Or in other words, you didn't really feel supported by anyone, especially from your close circle. Granted, I don't think you even feel like you have a circle to begin with. It could be an extremely unhappy marriage or partnership that you're in. So that's how you were affected with your relationships with other people. The Page of Wands, however, is how you view yourself. And interestingly, this is someone who's very passionate. The Page of Wands, if you can see her, she's playing the violin here, is very creative, very passionate, loves what she is doing with her hobbies, her creative projects, is interested in global affairs, possibly travel, wants to explore. That's a really great way to view yourself. That's awesome that you have all these passions and creative outlets, but I don't know if you're actually taking it. I don't know if you're actually doing it. So let's see how to move ahead then. What do you need to draw on to release the trauma? make sure everything is visible. Okay. Okay. Two cards kind of came out, so I'll just go over it a little bit at a time. All right. So what you need to draw on to release the trauma. So that's the Chariot here. That is drawing on a lot of strength in momentum and also just taking charge, because the Chariot is all about movement. Do you see how she's in control of those horses here? She's overcoming her obstacles. She's forcing things to move in a positive direction with like sheer hard work and commitment. You know, it's being determined and in self-control. You're harnessing your inner strength and you're facing your challenges head on. So maintain control of your surroundings. If this is something you need to draw on, is that you actually carry a lot of strength within you. You have, which is the next card after the Chariot. So I think they're kind of associated with one another since they follow one another. But yeah, you may be sensitive on the inside, of course, with the crab here being the symbol. You may be a Cancer. But also the imagery here with the turtles, so both hard shells on the outside and the softness on the inside. So you can use both your softness and protect yourself at the same time when you're overcoming obstacles. But you have it in you to absolutely draw that strength in and, you know, make way. You have it. You just need to come out of that, perhaps that unrealistic fantasy or illusion that they may have created and try to trap you in, and really charge through. It's not going to be easy with the water here showing a lot of movement, but worth it in the end, because these are the next cards that are following. So the Ace of Wands is all about what lessons you'll need to learn from this experience, and that is really figuring out new passions, what brings you joy, what creativities, and taking inspired action. I really see it as like standing up for yourself, but if it's about action, and this is, you know, what you need to draw on, it's all about taking that action to stand up for yourself. Then it could be turning that inspiration that you carry within yourself and trusting yourself to follow your passions and go after what you really want, embracing new opportunities. Because I think if you are dealing with people who are gaslighting you, this might just be a case that they're jealous of your abilities and they know damn well that you don't need them. So just really tap into yourself and realize your potential alone is powerful. The lesson here is to identify what truly inspires you and let that enthusiasm really fuel you to take action, to move, and perhaps move on without them. So your next card, I believe it's this one. What lesson I need to learn from, oh no, that's what lesson I need to learn. This is how I can begin to move on. And these two kind of came together as well. I just moved this aside just for visual. But with this being first, though, the Ace of Swords is to communicate. It's to clear up all the BS. Do that first. Clear out the miscommunication. Get rid of that confusion and misunderstandings, and get rid of people who are too busy trying to keep you down. You're going to have to make tough choices, though. I know it's like a head over heart matter here, but this is how you can begin to move on. Really get serious about confrontation. You may have to dig a little bit deep, because I feel like you may not have done that for a very long time, and you may be questioning yourself. But really bring that in, because this is also about confusion, about deciding on what to do and what's best. Your head might say one thing and your heart might say another, so you're going to have to clear up that confusion within yourself first, and then clear it out with other people and remove them if need be. A way your life will change, because these came out and I just couldn't find space, is the Two of Cups here. So that's new love coming in, if that's something that you're looking for, but it may be also just love within yourself, since you also chose the rose quartz, and love is a theme with rose quartz. It's love that you may attract from others, but also self-love and unconditional love. So that might be unconditional love that's coming in, or unconditional love that you offer to yourself. And this is all about the Seven of Wands reversed here, and that's another 7. So 777, that might be a very important number to you. This means no more arguments. This is peace. You don't have to constantly defend yourself anymore. You can finally just drop down your guard and be in love with yourself. I really want to put emphasis on that. Be in love with yourself. And so, before I pull that out, I want to draw on 2 cards that may also support you in this. And that's these little ones. Ooh, well, that's one that seems to want to come out, so I'll just let it out. Phases. Shine even when you're not whole. And you may not felt whole for a long time, because if you're going through people, or if you're around people who gaslight you a lot, and maybe you've been sick a lot due to the stress that they cause you, you may not have felt whole in a long time. But shine even when you're not whole. This is just a phase, so that means another phase is going to begin once you clear out that confusion and replenish. The sun will rise and we will try again. And that is awesome, because most likely what I'm guessing will happen is, if you are stuck in stagnation and it's a head versus heart matter where you really don't know what to do, you may have to do it over again. As in, like, maybe you're too tired today because you've overwhelmed yourself with thoughts and second guessing, but try again and keep trying until you get to that mental clarity. Distance, even far apart, you are always in my heart and on my mind. I miss you. I don't think this is a person that you miss. I think you may just miss yourself. Like, maybe you miss who you used to be. You're always in my heart and on my mind. Perhaps this was also someone who passed or moved away, like a friend that you really cared about. But what comes to mind to me the most is you feel distant from yourself. Like you miss yourself. And yeah, I think that's all I have for you. I hope this resonated. Please like, comment, share if this resonated with you. If you like to leave any comments, please do. I would love to hear your opinions on how this reading was for you. You can even leave just a a little circle here, I guess. A little O if it resonated with you, or a butterfly emoji if that's easier. And thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. I'll move on to pile 3. I always like these. I wonder what 777 means though. I know it's an angel number, but I can't for the life of me remember what it means. Okay. Any of these look good. Shuffle this time. Well, I did last time too. It's just I forgot to do it before we started. Bring out pile 3. Oh, here it is. That wasn't. Where's course vision? I meant online. Okay. Move this out of the way. All right, let's try on pile 3. Okay. Oh goodness. Welcome, pile 3. So you might have chosen this card for its butterfly, which is the Gerbera daisy. Actually, I think that's more the flower. And the pearl emperor. That might be the butterfly. And the Amazonite, which is a stone believed to inspire hope, reduce stress and fear. And I think it's also about like calming effects or courage and truth and communication, which is funny because that actually ties in with the other 2 cards that showed up. But being someone of integrity. All right, I'm going to pull up your first 4 cards to see what, or how rather, trauma has affected your life, the emotions that you currently carry with you, how it affects the relationship with others, and how it affects the way you view yourself. So those will be the first 4 cards. That's a lot. I want to sit at these 2. Goodness. Might be here, here, here. Those 3 all fell out once. I just need to check on. Affects the way you view yourself. Okay. I'll take the top card for that. And there we go. All right. So the trauma that affects her life, the King of Wands. And the Knight of Swords reversed here. The Devil card and the 3 of Pentacles. Okay, I just wanted to see if there were any repeating numbers because that happened for the last two piles. And before I start with these, I'm going to read your oracle card here. Joy. I'm already having an idea that your trauma might be surrounding your joy, feeling joy, or not being able to feel joy because it was taken or destroyed in some ways, or it's just a long time since you felt joy. But let me read it first. So happiness is usually triggered by something outside of ourselves. Joy, however, is cultivated from within. This card asks you to learn to listen to your heart and get out of your head. Oh, maybe it's a head versus heart matter too. There are ways you can build the groundwork for bliss. Journal about things that bring up positive emotions, experience beauty, and learn to accept who you are and what you are meant to do in this life. Work on becoming more in touch and accepting of your true self, and joyfulness will follow. Elation is found and grows within your heart and should not be weighed down with shoulds and coulds. Let go and find joy. So ask yourself, what brings me joy so pure I am almost moved to tears? In what small ways can I notice things that bring me joy? Let's see what the flower means though. Few flowers embody joy more completely than the gerbera daisy. Its sole purpose is to bring happiness and delight through gardens or as cut flowers, and is often given to brighten someone's day. Oh, I get it. You cut the flower and I give it to someone else, of course. They are the 5th most popular flower in the world, and their large blooms with petals and a rainbow of warm colors are a perfect attraction for bees and butterflies. Coming from Africa, the selective breeding and cultivation began in England in the 1890s, so 30 years later it arrived in the Americas, where it flourished in Florida and California. I wonder if the people who are watching this pile are either from Florida and California, or maybe they're coming from Africa as well. And if the number 5, since this is the 5th most popular flower, is important to you. 5 was an important number for one of the other piles as well. And I'll let you figure out which pile that was, because they may be tied together for you. If you were drawn to another pile, that is. So, again, I think you just may not have felt joy in a very, very long time. Something may have cut it, or since it's cut flowers, something might have been taken from your garden, per se. It may be a case of, I don't want to say depression, because I don't really, well, maybe, actually, now that I really look at these cards, it could have been your own mental health that has been disrupted in your life. So I'm going to look at King of Wands here, which is how trauma has affected your life. This is manipulative or a controlling figurehead, since it's a king. I'm wondering if it's a person that has been incredibly oppressive in your life, perhaps aggressively so. It could be a personal legacy of like ancestral trauma, where I want to say like this pain was passed down, even its challenges. And this could manifest as like arrogance, instability, an inability to really nurture your ambition. So it could lead to self-destructive behaviors rather than constructive action. It could be unrealistic expectations that people may have had on you, especially if they're authority figures. Maybe even a lack
of direction, since kings are usually commanding and know where they want to go. So it could be that you're incredibly impulsive and made a lot of impulsive decisions in the past. If it's ancestral, I'm wondering, I'm wondering if it feels like, if you feel the weight of the past as a lot as well. Or like a passing of the torch, because I know he's carrying a wand here. But wands can be torches too. So passing of the torch, and you feel that obligation, or what's another word here? Obligation, or oh goodness, I'm horrible with words today. Like you inherited someone else's will and you had to complete that. It always makes you think of children who think they have to live their parents' dreams rather than their own. And they feel kind of controlled by that. Like, let's say you have a parent who wants you to be a doctor, but you don't want to be a doctor, but you feel like you have to be. But yeah, that could be a multitude of things. It could be the arrogance, it could be someone very controlling, someone manipulative, or a lot of obligations. I'm trying to think of what the other word is, where you feel like you have to carry on someone else's dream. For some reason, if anyone's seen the movie Elemental, and she, the character, feels like she has to carry on her father's dreams of owning that shop, but she doesn't want to do that. But it takes a while for her to realize that she wants something else for herself. So that could be how trauma affects your life. And then the emotions that you carry, I almost feel like there's a numbness to this. Because upright, this usually means like anxiety, but you could be also overcoming it, like moving towards recovery, because you understand that this is not your burden to bear. If this is another obligation thing that you feel under the pressure for. It could also mean, however, that you're holding on to secrets or suppressed emotions that are not allowing you to progress. But you're learning to release the negative thought patterns and stress. You're learning to release the guilt. You're learning, maybe you're in therapy, trying to find that joy and step away from that obligation. I really need to figure out what that word is. Maybe you're finding clarity though. Like you're shifting towards a more positive and less anxious point of view. Hello, crows. I have so many crows in my yard. It's fantastic because they're my familiar, but also paying attention to the crows here in the card. Maybe you also work with crows, which symbolize communication. So perhaps you're learning to communicate with a healer about your emotions, the secrets, the shame that you may feel, or even isolation because you can't talk to this figurehead who may feel insulted that you're not doing what they want you to do. It could also represent stagnation for those who may feel stuck and are afraid of moving forward and coping with that inner conflict. So the nightmare per se, because upright, usually this means that you're having nightmares. But if it's reversed, I'm wondering if you don't have dreams. Because you don't really want to think about it, so you suppress it, especially since if this is how if this is how it affects your relationships with others, that is the fear of the unknown. My neighbors. I don't know if you can actually hear them. But yeah, that is the phrase that comes to mind is like the devil you know. So this is definitely someone you've had for a very long in your lifetime. It could very well be ancestral because there's chains here, and I'm wondering just how old are those chains. Yeah, so it could be a fear of the unknown. So you don't know how this relationship is going to progress. Like you don't know. I'm also wondering if it's just you have the ability to break free, but you're stuck. You feel stuck with this figurehead. But this could be an indication with like toxic relationships, either with family members or a partner or friends or even a job. If you feel like you've been tricked or manipulated by people, maybe false promises were made, it could lead to like self-destructive behaviors. So the relationship that you have with people is that you feel trapped. You feel trapped and you feel manipulated and you don't really trust them. It could be codependency, like perhaps with that parent or that figurehead in your life. It could be a very lust-driven connection if it's not a family member or a friend or job, if it's like a spouse or a partner. But whatever it is, it's not healthy. It's not a very healthy relationship that you have with other people. All right, so, but the way that you view yourself is the Three of Pentacles. So it's someone who is friendly, is a good teammate to others, especially in the realm of work, or like you're cooperative, you're committed to quality, you're committed to working as a team, you value other people, you recognize the hard work that has been done by yourself and within other people. You're very hardworking and persistent, and that's how you view yourself. I hope you don't burn yourself out. I'm wondering if that's tied in with the joy and the unhealthy relationships here. But you definitely value knowledge as well, because that usually indicates some sort of learning environment or teaching environment. All right. Let's see what you need to draw on to release the trauma, what lessons you can or need to learn from the experience, how you can begin to move on in a way that your life will change once you release that trauma. Ooh. All right, so that's what you need to draw on. This definitely makes me think it's more of a family member. Let's send this pile 3. Begin. Ooh. Oh, okay. And what ways would the life change for them once they release the trauma? Okay. Oh, that's awesome, because at the bottom of the deck here, I don't usually do this, but the bottom of the deck is the Two of Wands. And that's usually hidden energies. I'll just leave it there because I think that's cool. I didn't do that for the other piles. Maybe I should have, but I don't normally look at the bottom, but I just happened to this time. Okay. So what you need to draw on to release the trauma is the Ten of Cups reversed. So this is, wow. So this is, it usually means like a breakdown in domestic harmony, or like indicating conflict and separation or a broken home life. There's no really a happily ever after in that case. So if this is something you need to draw on, I think you need to realize that there's been a deep despair that's been hidden for a very long time in this household. You need to break away from the status quo and find personal transformation through new and diverse experiences that are going to be outside of the home. I'm wondering if that means like moving out, but not just moving out, maybe moving to another state, moving another country or region, since I think it was your oracle card that said it originally came from Africa and then it started showing up in popular places like Florida and California. So I'm wondering if you need to change location in order to flourish. You need to move homes. I'm wondering if any of you are a water sign, maybe a Pisces. Who else is going through changes in the home right now? I know Pisces is because Uranus in Gemini is going through your 4th house. So that could be a sudden change in home environments and real estate. I think another person that's going through a home situation is Capricorn, because Saturn in Aries, but that's not really popping up until like Saturn moves into Aries. So who's before that? I think is it Sagittarius? It might be Sagittarius that may be going through a home change as well. I don't see any Sag cards here. I do see a water sign because it's cups, but anyway. So what you need to draw on is to realize you may need to move house. You may need to move away from this person. But I'm wondering, and the reason I say I'm wondering is because not everyone is able to just move. Finances can play a role in whether or not you have the resources to actually move. So if you can't move, what else can be done? And that's what I'm trying to think of. It could be maybe you need to reevaluate your personal relationships, try to recognize where the disharmony and broken promises are, maybe you have unrealistic expectations, maybe the other person has unrealistic expectations. I'm really feeling the latter. What constitutes as a happiness and a home for you? Honestly, evaluate what can be fixed, what boundaries can be placed in, and what to let go of. Because the next part is what lessons you need to learn, and that's the Hierophant here. I'm just going to move it so the camera can actually see it. And that's all about sharing knowledge, commitments, and dedication. So you may be opening yourself up to a new commitment, a new dedication. You may be studying something else, like going back to the whole, if you don't want to be a doctor, you want to be something else. You may be switching your majors. You may be finding a new partner, since it recognizes new commitments and dedications, but I don't recommend jumping from one partner to another, though. But maybe, since this is also about values and core beliefs, you're exploring that more, and you're getting more in touch with what matters to you and what makes you happy, what brings you joy. And in fact, that next card is, how can I begin to move on? And that's taking a leap of faith. That's starting a new journey and finding fun, right? Because this is the Fool. Like, don't be afraid of making a complete idiot of yourself and trying something new. Starting a new path, even if it means walking that path by yourself. Although I don't really feel like you are going to be alone for very long, because you've got, I think that's a fox here. So you may find friends along the way that connect with you. Even these birds here, that's innocence as well. So you may find connections with your innocence again. I think this is the last card other than here, but the Knight of Pentacles is a way your life will change once you release that trauma. And that's all about dedication and hard work and going after your goals in a very slow but practical way. But you see how there's these three lights here, and like, he's going after the things that matter to him now. There's more stability. There's an earth sign just came up, but because it's a Pentacles and this is earth, you may meet an earth sign that not stabilizes you, because I think you're pretty stable, but brings you more hope, brings you more joy. This could be a really strong friendship, and especially if this is a Pisces and an earth sign, like, ooh, that's a nice environment there, because usually earth and water mix very well. So you're pursuing your goals, your new studies, maybe your new businesses. Like, the world's at your feet is what I feel. Because especially with this nature around it, like, go out, go venture out. The Two of Wands here at the back is hidden energy, right? Usually these things you don't really realize are happening in the background, but that is looking forward to new things on the horizon. You see how they're looking forward. They're looking at what opportunities are coming their way. So there are new doors opening up for you. I'm just going to pull out. This bird has a lot to say. This one wants to come out. This one wants to come out. So similar. Dark side. Don't hide yourself away, especially if someone has made you feel like you have to. And to discover or spot new opportunities. Hey, yeah, go for those new opportunities. There was one more thing I was supposed to do, but yeah. Nostalgia. I miss you, the person you used to be, the way things used to be. Can we bring that back? Yeah, I think you miss yourself. You miss your joy. You miss the person that you used to be and the way things used to be for yourself. I don't know why 90s kid just came up, but maybe you are, and you miss the 90s maybe, or miss the simple things that used to bring you joy, the easier way of living. You miss yourself, and I hope you find your joy. I hope you take those opportunities, those new things that are coming up. Good luck if you do have to move away, but if not, I think I gave you a list of other things you can do if you can't move due to finances. But yeah, thank you for being here. If this resonated with you, please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Just drop a let's see, what could be a symbol for you guys if you'd want to. Joy, I guess a smiley face. Something that makes you happy in the comments. All right, thank you, and I'll see you next time.